Anybody home?
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, and thank you all at home for watching our meeting tonight. Tonight's Town Board meeting is a work session, and prior to coming out here this evening for the public portion of the meeting, we met at 6:15 p.m. to interview the candidate for the Environmental Conservation Board. And then at 6:30, we met with Town Council, Special Counsel, our engineer, Rich Franzetti, and Town Comptroller, Mary Ann Maxwell, to discuss a potential and pending litigation from the Town of Carmel with a resident of the town. So the meeting is going to begin very shortly. For the record, all Town Board members are present with the exception of Councilman Shannell, and he will not be able to attend. He's got an obligation that he had to take care of this evening. So he's going to be here, but a little late. Some sad news I want to report to the public. The passing of Lillian Eberhard today. I was notified that Lillian passed away at the age of 90. She was very, very active in the Carmel Historical Society for many, many years. She worked with Greg Amato for many years and other members of the Carmel Historical Society. She volunteered countless hours to organize the Historical Society building right up the street here, and her and her husband just are going to be tremendously missed. Her husband passed away about a year and a half ago, and Lillian today. So I want to dedicate this meeting tonight in the memory of Lillian Eberhard, who worked so hard for this community. She had a very deep passion for the history of the town of Carmel and Mahopac, and you know, it shows with the amount of hours that she dedicated and volunteered herself to the Historical Society of the town. She worked with the town historian as well on many projects within the town. So Lillian's going to be missed. So, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to Lillian's family, and we're going to remember Lillian here for all the work that she did over the years from a historical perspective for the town. So I'm dedicating the meeting tonight to Lillian Eberhard. Okay, so we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and would everybody please rise? And Councilman Lombardi, I believe you have the pledge tonight?
Sure.
Okay. Would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just ask that we remain standing for a moment of silence to remember those men and women who have given the sacrifice of fighting for us each and every night to provide us with the blanket of freedom that we live under each and every day. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Okay, so the first item on the agenda this evening is a review of the town board minutes of February 17th and March 3rd of 2021. Does any town board members have comments on those minutes? If not, we'll move on. Frank, I can't see you over there. That laptop's in the way. So you want to pull back the desk a little? Okay.
You got
perfect.
it.
Thank you. All right. So the first item is Frank Monaco and Gordon Lee Updegraft, Town of Carmel Cable Committee. Joe Charbonneau, a special counsel for the Cable Committee. Is this to consider a request to schedule a public hearing in regards to the Comcast cable franchise agreement? So, Vinny, would you bring Mr. Monaco into the meeting? He's attending tonight via Zoom. Frank, can you hear us?
Well,
Frank,
muted and
raise your hand if you can hear us.
he's got to unmute. Oh,
Okay.
we have to unmute?
Okay. Frank,
Frank, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, still breathing.
Good.
Good. Thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks for all of your hours that you and your committee put into the cable franchise agreement.
So we're
We're
going
going to that tonight. Joe's here, Joe Charbonneau.
Oh, good. That's good. That's all we need, really.
Appreciate that, Frank.
Yeah.
All right, so
why
why don't you start it off, and
Frank,
Frank, feel free to join in at any time if you want to comment on anything
Okay.
with respect to the
to the
franchise.
franchise agreement, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
So, Mr. Supervisor, as the town board well knows, the cable franchise agreement is an agreement that permits Comcast, in this case, to operate a cable system within the public rights of way in return for certain benefits to the local government, both monetary and in public education and government access. In this case, specifically two channels. Just to give you some sort of historical background with respect to cable franchise agreements, I'm only going to go back to 2004. The town entered into a cable franchise agreement with Susquehanna Cable, which was the successor in interest to RCN and now Comcast. Susquehanna entered into a 10-year term with a 5-year renewal, which brought us to 2019. The Cable Communications Policy Act of 1984 provides for the procedures for extensions and renewals under the Federal Cable Act. On December 12, 2018, this process was commenced when we received a notice from Comcast of their intention to renew their cable franchise agreement. Over the past 2 years, and that was obviously delayed considerably due to COVID, the Cable Advisory Committee has met many times to discuss various aspects of the cable franchise agreement. When we first started, Mr. Monaco and Mr. Updegraft were on the committee. There was another individual who I'm sure Frank can tell you, forget her first name was Armanda, forget her last name. She was on the committee, as was Bob Channel before he left the committee to join the town board. We also had Susie McDonough as the liaison of the cable franchise committee, who provided insight and questioning of the existing agreement, and we worked closely with Matt Skane from Comcast, as well as Sharon Coniac, who's the municipal liaison. I'm sure the supervisors had conversations with her over the years.
Yes.
So over the past 2 years, we've gone back and forth with Comcast on the areas that we're permitted that aren't otherwise federally regulated, to discuss the cable franchise agreement, what the franchisee can and cannot do within the town's borders. We now have a final draft, which I believe was posted on the town's website, which is a culmination of the past 3 years of meetings. And we're asking the town board to consider that. The next step would be the scheduling of a public hearing. The town board has an opportunity to review that. If you have any questions with respect to that agreement, as I know Susie did, we incorporated a lot of her questions into drafts, previous drafts, and those comments have been inserted where appropriate in the agreement itself. If there are any questions or concerns, we can certainly discuss those with Matt before we get to the public hearing. I am assuming, and I'm going to have a conversation with Matt tomorrow, he will be here at the public hearing in the event the public has any questions. Matt, on behalf of Comcast, will be available to answer those questions. A couple of relevant terms. Typically, these agreements are 10 years with a 5-year option. This agreement is an 8-year agreement with a 5-year option. That was a concession given to us by Comcast at the insistence of the Franchise Advisory Board, because this is a ever-evolving technology that we wanted to make sure that we continue to stay on top of these agreements. So we thought an 8-year with a 5-year extension would better enable us to do that. The franchise fee remains at the maximum, which is 5% of gross annual revenue. That fee is paid quarterly to the town. This will continue the 2 public education and government channels that the town presently has with Comcast. And I don't know whether Frank wishes to add anything to that.
Yeah, I'd just like to talk about the fact that this is cable TV only. It doesn't apply to the internet services, which are becoming increasingly more important than cable TV with the advent of streaming services. And there's a whole bunch of them out there now that can handle regular TV stations in addition to premium stations. And the franchise agreements in the last 5 or 6 years have become very standardized, and there wasn't much room for wiggle room for us. I think Joe can tell you that. We did the best we could to get some of the things that the cable committee wanted included, but there's really not much wiggle room. They're kind of standardized. They use the same agreement in many other places and the same wording. There's a lot of legal stuff in there. There's, as he said, Joe said, 5-year. Go ahead.
It's an 8 with a 5-year option.
Right. 5-year renewal option. Non-exclusivity of the franchise. That's why we were able to get Verizon Fios in the Carmel area, which a lot of customers are using or are happy with. I think that agreement's going to come up next year for renewal. The deductions from the franchise fee. This is one thing that just happened with this iteration. They give us a lot of free services for some of the town buildings in Exhibit A. And the way I read this agreement and the way I think they told us, they're now going to deduct the cost of those connections from the franchise fee. Is that right, Joe?
So there's an FCC order, 621, that is currently being litigated, I believe in the 6th Circuit. That order does say that the cable companies can no longer pass through those in-kind services. So, for example, the town hall receives free cable. There's a cost for basic free cable. The town is, under the last agreement, not paying for that cost. Depending on how that litigation plays itself out in the federal courts, it is possible if the public, for lack of a better petitioner in this case, is not successful, it is possible that those services will be deducted from the quarterly gross annual revenue. So it's possible going forward that we may have to revisit a portion of this agreement and have a conversation with Comcast as to what services we are getting for free and whether we wish to pare that down or have those municipal entities such as fire district, library, town hall pay for them out of a different budget so that we do not decrease quarterly revenue.
But Joe, even after we sign the agreement, it could potentially change thereafter based on
that issue.
That litigation?
Yes.
Just that issue?
Yes. Yeah. And that's something that all franchisees are dealing with right now, because it is an FCC order that all these agreements are presently subject to. But again, it is being litigated. So there is a provision in there that would allow them to do that. But obviously, it would have to be on notice to the town. We'll have to address it at that time. Right. The other thing that
I'm sorry, no. So the deduction would be for those buildings, public entity buildings that use their services?
correct.
There would be,
There's a schedule on the back of the
right, and how is it calculated? Based upon the number of boxes that are in the building?
No, it's calculated on bringing that line to the building.
Okay.
So, if there are 15 different entities, there are 15 different standard cable costs that potentially could be aggregated and reduced on a quarterly basis. So we're going to have to follow the litigation with respect to that. One issue that was of paramount concern to everyone, and by everyone I mean anybody from the public who contacted us, the members of the advisory committee, Councilwoman McDonough, we wanted to get a physical presence within the town. And that was something that we fought tooth and nail for, and we were told under no circumstance are they coming back here. They will provide UPS labels, make life easy for shipping purposes, but there was a strong resistance to that by Comcast, and they will continue to operate out of Connecticut. They will use services such as UPS to facilitate this, allow people to print out shipping labels and whatnot at home in order to help them. But the idea of getting a brick and mortar building in Mayapack or in Carmel was not something that they would entertain.
Yeah, so, but it's very easy. The public brings the device or whatever over to the UPS store in Mayapack with the shipping label, and there's no cost involved. They'll pack it up and ship it out for replacement. I've done it. It works. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit was the FiOS using Comcast PEG. There's a paragraph in there, section 6.3, that talks about interconnection with competing cable franchises and franchisees. Right now, I don't think there's an easy way for FiOS customers to get stuff out on the public access channels. The ones that, but there is a provision in this contract, this franchise agreement, for that to happen. I think we have to explore that in the future. What do you think about that, Joe?
I haven't read the Verizon agreement, but I don't disagree with you. These contracts are written in such a manner as they're not mutually exclusive, so as to provide whatever franchisee that wants to come in and do business in the town to have access. So I think that's definitely something that the Cable Advisory Board will look at going forward, especially in light of the next round of franchise agreement with Verizon.
Okay, thanks. So all we need to do is to get the town to say we're going to have an open meeting, a public meeting, and then we need to, I think we recommend that you sign this agreement once the public input has been given. That's what Gordon and I have decided. We haven't replaced the other two members yet. I'm not sure why, but we're trying. That's all I got.
Will be the scheduling of a public hearing.
Public hearing.
Joe, let me just ask you one more thing with regard, because I'm kind of stuck on that litigation you were talking about earlier. So if we look at Schedule A, we have not 9 entities, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't want to draw any one in particular, but for example, let's just say Putnam County Bureau of Emergency Services. So if they're forced, if they're forced to have to be charged for that building, it comes off of the town's revenue?
It's not them. You're providing that. That's a provision that is handled through this agreement.
Okay.
So you're providing that service. So there may come a point in time where Comcast says to the town, we are going to charge you $100 a month for that connection. At that point, you are going to have a conversation with that entity as to whether they want to absorb that cost, or whether the town will continue to absorb that cost, or whether you'll be reimbursed for that cost. If FCC Regulation 621 is shut down in the courts, then we don't have to worry.
Right, and that's what I was trying to understand, that we'd have to absorb the cost if the litigation went the way it looks like it.
For each of
For each of those
entities in exhibit A.
Right. Okay, and I guess that's a bridge we can cross. if
And again, that's something, I mean, if you Google it, that's something that municipalities across the country are dealing with right now.
Okay.
Joe, I have a question, and Mary Ann's here. She might be able to help us out with this, and maybe she didn't have the information in front of her. Sorry, Mary Ann. What annually, how much of a fee does Comcast pay to the town of Cromwell? It's paid quarterly, but ballpark.
I would estimate about 55,000 a quarter.
5,000 a
So
quarter.
about a little over 200,000.
Okay.
In total, we get about 800,000 in franchise.
In total between Comcast and Verizon? Okay. All right. Joe, that 5%, the 5% of the cost of the
5% of the gross.
yeah. Was that negotiated at all? 5%, was that?
That's the maximum by law.
It is the maximum?
Yes,
Okay.
federal law.
All right, good.
That's the most the municipality can receive.
Yeah, 5% of the gross annual revenue.
Correct.
That's by law.
Yes.
That's statute.
Takes
Okay.
care of the negotiation.
Right,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, it does. Okay. All right, good. All right, that's all the questions I have. Does the board, do you have any other questions for Joe or Frank?
I got one more thing I'd like to say. I thank you for letting me do this from home. I'm not a fully vaccinated grandparent yet. I will be on Friday. So that's why I'm glad I didn't have to come in. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Frank, thank you for all your work that you put into this union committee.
Okay.
Thanks so much. And Joe, thank you also.
It was a lot of work, and Frank and Gordon were on it from the beginning, and they should be.
It's appreciated.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
That's what Frank is, he's incredible. He's so
Oh, I
organized
know.
and on top of everything. So Frank, kudos and thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We've been doing a lot of Zooms lately. My 50th reunion got canceled, and we've been doing 36 different cadet company Zooms for the last 12 months. It's getting out of control. I had to buy a license for Zoom. So if you ever need somebody with Zoom, I have it.
Okay. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you,
All right.
Frank.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Stay safe, be well. Thank you, Frank.
You too.
Good night.
Thank- Bye.
Okay. All right, board, does anybody else have any further questions for Joe while he's here on this item?
We'll just hold to Bob. gets it.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you, Joe.
All right, so number 2 on the agenda, we're going to hold off on that until Councilman Shannell gets here. So he's on his way. He's going to join us shortly. So let's go to 3. Mary Ann, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary Ann is here to consider authorizing budget revisions for final of December 2020. Mary Ann?
Thank you. I will be really quick. There is only one final budget revision. To close out 2020, we had to transfer another $15,000 from the fund balance to provide for the cost of outside legal counsel investigation. So that's a total of $15,000.
Okay. So that's it? That's the one item?
Yep, that's it for 2020.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments from Mary Ann on this item?
Cousins O'Connor bill?
I'm sorry?
Is that a Cousins O'Connor, Cousins bill?
Cozen, yes.
Is that the final bill?
Well, this is the final cost through 2020, through December of 2020. We had an additional, well, there was one bill that we received that had December of 20 and January of 21 together. So I had to separate the costs. I think there's another $5,000 or $6,000 being charged to January of 2021.
Any idea of the total to date?
I think it's about $225,000.
Okay, thanks, Marion.
Any further questions for Mary Ann?
Nope,
That's it. All right,
thank you,
thanks,
Mary
Mary
Ann.
Ann. Thanks for being here. Okay, next on the agenda, number 4 is Mike Simone, Carmel Highway Superintendent. This is to consider request to advertise for bids for the 2021 spring miscellaneous materials and supplies. Mike?
Good evening, Board. With the weather outside this week, we have got to start thinking spring. Though February was pretty ugly, and we still have some of the effects of it still on the side of the roads. We're going to be asking you out to bid for, like we do every year, for our spring and summer bids, so we can do our our work to repair all the drainage and roadways and the sides of the roads. So we'll be looking to go out to bid. One of the other reasons I want to get the board thinking here, and I come before you, this is pretty much standard, but the next thing I'm going to be asked for is at the next work session, I'm going to be coming in looking to work on our capital projects for this year. I will tell you that in light of the new stimulus bill coming through and negotiating from a state level, I sit on the executive board of New York State Highway Superintendents. We have got the governor to put back in CHIPS, Pave New York in at full capacity, along with Bridge New York in at full capacity. He had stated that if he does get money, which looks like he's going to get, we will be getting back our full, which was extreme winter recovery. We've asked that for that be taken to, instead of 65 million to 100 million for the whole state of New York. So we're going to be receiving full funds for this upcoming year, and it looks like we're also going to be reinstated. The 20% cut that we got last year, they're going to reinstate 15% of it.
Oh, that's
for
great.
last year, which we'll all be receiving in probably our April notice, which will go toward this year's budget. Along with that, as I do every year, I'll come to the board and ask for funds to continue some of the paving, the drainage, and equipment that we're going to need for the upcoming year. So
Mike, that'll be work for 2021 or 2022?
2021.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this is it's called the 20, it goes in this budget this year, April budget, and it will go to 22, but I have to spend that money really all before January of next year.
Right, and I'm referring...
Because I can't do any work in the winter.
No, and I'm referring to the reinstatement of the 15...
The reinstatement of the money is the cut we took. We took a cut.
I remember.
In July of last year.
Yeah.
Of 20%, like everyone else, the schools and everyone else. But we were put back 15%.
Which
we were
we
told
can,
that a month ago.
which you can use this year.
Which I can use this year, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right, Mike, when do you anticipate coming before the board for your capital project?
I'm going to put together the details so that we would come at the next work session.
Okay.
So
All right.
kind of going to coincide this, so we'll
Yeah.
get our bids in. I can then at least know what dollars we're going to spend, and we can talk about how much it's going to really cost us until we get these bids in, like blacktop and pipe. You know, I can throw you out figures historically, but if I get the real numbers, I can really talk about real dollars.
So, Mike, keep in mind, the next work session is actually on the 17th
Yep.
of this month.
Yep.
We have a voting meeting. It's a dual meeting, voting and work.
Okay.
And then the next work session after that won't be until the 14th, April 14th. So, because this April 7th will be a voting meeting on the 17th's work session items. And then the following meeting, the 14th will be a work session. Do you think you can have what you need for us for the 17th? Or is that cutting it too
I
much
definitely will
short?
get my talking points. I can put it. We will not have our bids back because we know we need 30 days to
Right.
get this back.
Okay.
So, but at least I can have all my talking points and come in with my dollars, the equipment I'm looking for, the money I'm looking for
Right.
paving, and the money I'm looking for
Yeah.
drainage. So yes,
If you could,
I can have that together, definitely.
Okay, if you can have that definitely together for the 17th?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll put you on the agenda for that,
Okay.
and
I
then
mean, I'll call Ann and set up.
call in. Yeah, because I wouldn't want to push this out, and you wouldn't want to either until April
Right.
14th.
Well, right, and then we're talking on 14th at least,
Then we're going-
45 more days.
And we're going into May,
Yeah, we're into May, and hopefully we're
right,
in the ground working by then, so.
okay. All right, so either have Stacy or yourself call Ann tomorrow, send her an email, and just request to be put on the 17th for the capital projects.
Very good.
Mike, have you noticed an increase in some of the costs in the last month due to the increase in petroleum?
I haven't seen it yet, but again, these bids are just
Okay.
going out. I mean, I haven't felt it because I'm still working off of last
Right,
year's
last
bids, and
year's.
we're really not doing any of that work right now, but I anticipate it going up again. I
Okay.
anticipate, I will tell you that we had a $38 drop in salt last year. First time we've dropped in probably since 2004. I don't anticipate it coming out next year. I anticipate going back up, which is unfortunate because we went from $86 a ton down to I think it was $58 a ton.
Did you deplete most of the reserve that we had for salt this?
No, we did not. I mean, even, we've had a severe winter, but I have not depleted it. I mean.
Yeah, I don't mean the 100%, I mean, but,
And
I'm sure
still
you don't
working-
have an idea.
I'm still working on this year's contract.
Okay.
And my anticipation is, the way it works with New York State is that in April, I have to put forth the amount that I'm looking for next year. But I do not find out the price of it until September. So I've got to go into a crystal ball and kind of, we do have some historical data, which I kind of work off of. But what I'm saying is that if I know the price is going to go up, so more than likely I'm going to try to fill my barns as much as I can this year, even though it's going to deplete some of the money we put away. But I want to go in with $30 less.
Agreed. Okay.
Materials, certainly. So.
All right.
Perfect.
Mary Ann, do you know what we have, how much do we have in the equipment line for highway for purchasing of new equipment? You know where that line's at? This isn't fair to you, me asking you at this meeting, Bumps. I apologize. The reason I say that is because, we started this savings line for highway equipment years ago, and we've been purchasing some of the equipment that Mike brings to us with his capital projects and capital equipment, that we've been buying them outright. We've been paying for them because we're saving, putting the money aside for them. Vinny, is the podium mic on? Mary, just tap on it.
No.
You may have to switch it on. When do you show up?
Hey, Bob.
How are you?
There we go. Okay. Thank you. That's all right. No, I mean, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. But we did, I talked to Mike a couple weeks ago. We did have a surplus in the highway fund, so we were able to transfer, I think, $500,000 or $600,000 into the equipment or the capital fund balance for the highway fund. So I think now we have a total of $850,000 in the capital fund balance for equipment. So that it's 800 or 850. I don't have the numbers exactly in front of me. I will have these numbers at the work session next week because the auditors are here this week and next week. So I'll have those final numbers for you guys next week.
All right, so
we did have a surplus.
Sounds like we'll be able to purchase some of Mike's equipment, purchase them outright.
Exactly, not have to borrow,
financing
right.
or borrowing.
And then I also did transfer $500,000 to the debt fund so that we can pay down some debt that we've, already issued. So,
Yeah, the controller and I have been discussing in anticipation of this, and
Yeah.
I think the board's going to be happy with.
Yeah.
Again, we've had some mild winters prior to this, and we have been able to put some money away.
Yeah.
And it was well in excess of any winter that really nature could throw at us.
Yeah.
So that we felt that we could take some of that money and.
Yeah, the snow reserve fund balance is at $750,000, and because we had the mild winter last year, 2020, I think 750. Mike and I talked about this is a substantial, a good enough number that we didn't need to add to that. So I was able to take the surplus from the snow, the materials, and the overtime line, and move that towards equipment. So,
Okay.
so it's definitely still being used towards, highway, but the snow reserve is at 750. The capital fund balance is at 8 or 850. I'm not 100% sure on that. And then we have other reserves as well. So.
Okay.
And I have not exhausted this year's budget, so,
Right.
and again, knock on wood, hopefully it stays warm for a while and we won't have any more snow for a while, so.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks,
Okay,
Mike.
all
Thanks,
right.
Mary
Thanks,
Ann.
Mary.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Okay, does anybody have any questions for Mike? Bob? Nope. Any questions for Mike? No? Susie? Frank?
Nope.
Mike? Okay. All right, so we'll see you on the 17th, Mike.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thanks. Okay.
I asked Mike my allotted questions for the evening.
Okay, next item on the agenda, the rest of the items on the agenda are engineering. So 5, Rich Franzetti, PE Town Engineer, consider acknowledging emergency repair services, Carmel Sewer District Number 2, Everett Road, on-lot sewer. Rich? Yeah, Bob's here. Councilman Shannell has joined us. He snuck in about 10 minutes ago. I didn't see him come in. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for being here.
So as you stated, Mr. Supervisor, this is a emergency repair services being presented to the board to advise of an invoices submitted in excess of $10,000 for services rendered. What was performed in Carmel Sewer District 2 at 16 and 18 Everett Road on an on-lot sewer on February 8th, 2021, Infomark. The operators of Sewer 2 alerted the engineering department that an on-lot pump station at this address was not functioning. It was determined that it was an electrical issue. There's an invoice in the amount of $10,977.94 to replace the electrical service at this location.
Okay, Rich, for the benefit of the public, can you explain what, I know what it is, but for the public, what an on-lot sewer pump station is?
So, yeah, we have about 98 of them in Sewer District 2, and we have probably about 4 others in the rest of the sewer districts in town. When you have a sewer line that's at a higher elevation at a house, instead of having individual pumps, it goes down to a pit in one area and then it's pumped up between 2 homes to the sewer main. That's essentially how they operate. So they're common sewer, on-lots of common sewer ejection or pump stations for individual residences.
Okay, and they're more common up in sewer 2?
We have about 98 in sewer 2.
Okay. All right, great.
So, yeah, Rich, just one thing, it said it needs the blacktop restoration as well. That's going to be obviously done later on, but it's not billed on here.
No, when they do that, that's going to be done, it's already been paid for.
Okay.
That bill includes it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and the cost of this is not borne by all the residents, taxpayers in the town of Carmel. This is paid for by those users in Carmel Sewer District Number 2. So those residents that reside in that district will pay for the cost of this, and it's not something town-wide. Great, thanks, Rich. Any further questions for the engineer on this item?
Good, quick question with the electrical. So the electrical was not on the property, it was near the, I guess where it comes in off the road?
Yes. So it had to be molded in. There was some molding, a bunch of work had to be done to get the electric to where that lot is. It goes, the electric also, the meter is typically at the road, at the top of the hill.
I have one, that's why you have
All
a
right, so that's where the meter is. The electric does go down because you got to run the pumps down at the on-lot station.
So the electric core is damaged to the pump?
Yeah, the electric service getting in there, yes.
Okay. Hey, Bob, I pulled your item, and so you'll cover that at the end of the meeting
Okay,
after
good.
Rich is finished?
Will do.
So
Thanks.
two is going to come at the end.
Okay,
All right, so,
sounds good.
thank you. All right. Okay, next item on the agenda,
Thanks, Rich.
number 6, is to consider request to authorize advertise for bids for the purchase and installation of a clarifier drive, also Carmel Sewer District Number 2. Rich?
So Infomark, the operators of Carmel Sewer District 2, advised the engineering department that the clarifier drive unit for 1 has failed and requires a new gear drive and gearbox. The new drive will be updated to latest technology. Infomark requested pricing to replace this drive and gearbox, and the pricing for this project will exceed GML threshold of $35,000. Therefore, the engineering department requests authorization for this project to go out to bid.
Okay, and where is this located, Rich? Is this at the sewer treatment plant?
Sewer District 2, yes, at the sewer
At the plant?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So the unit has failed, and it requires a new gear drive and gearbox. Any questions for the engineer on the replacement of this
Rich,
clarifier drive?
how's it operating now, being that 1 has failed?
No, so it doesn't operate. The plant is functioning fine. We have, there are 3 clarifiers, just 1 is out of service, but you gotta have the 3rd one back in service.
Any more questions? Okay. All right, Rich, go on to number 7, and this is to consider request to advertise for bids for cleaning services, Carmel Town Hall.
As the board is aware, on December 26, 2017, the town of Carmel entered into a contract with CTE Incorporated, doing business as reliable cleaning systems for the town of Carmel cleaning services. Contract duration was for 2 years, and it provided for 2 extensions of 1-year periods at the unilateral option of the town. The second extension is set to expire at the end of this year. Based on the 2 years of invoices, the pricing for the project will exceed the GML threshold of $35,000. The engineering department requests authorization for this project to go out to public bid.
Rich, this includes the police department as well?
Yes, it does.
So when we put the bid packet together, you might want to just speak to Chief Hoffman just to see if there's anything that he might want to add.
Will do.
I'm sure it's pretty much covered, but, give him the opportunity to weigh in on it.
Yeah, there hasn't been any complaints at all.
I'm not saying complaints,
From,
I'm
from the
seeing
PD.
if there's anything else that he may notice in the last 3 months that might need to be included in that packet.
Oh, all right. Any questions on this side, Bob, Susie?
Nope.
No? Mike, you good? Okay. All right. All right, Rich, go on to the next one. It's number 8. This is consider request to authorize payment of invoice for East of Hudson Watershed Corporation O&M policy.
As the board is aware, the town of Carmel is a member of the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation. The East of Hudson Watershed Corporation is made up of 19 municipalities in Dutchess and Westchester and Putnam counties, and was established as a regional stormwater entity in response to heightened phosphorus removal requirements under the New York State DEC stormwater regulations. The East of Hudson administers and coordinates and installs regional stormwater retrofit projects with funding made available by the New York City DEP, Westchester County, and Putnam County funds. Through the EOH, the member municipalities are collectively achieving compliance with this stormwater retrofit projects through bubble compliance, regardless of the physical location of any of the retrofits. As attached, the East of Hudson policy, each municipality has to maintain stormwater retrofit projects that have been installed, and the town adopted the East of Hudson watershed policy as identified in a 2016 resolution. Due to public compliance, the town is required to pay O&M based on the town's overall phosphorus reduction, not just those stormwater practices inside the town, and the East of Hudson provides the O&M for the SRPs for those located in town. There's an invoice from East of Hudson Watershed Corporation in the amount of $25,090.28 for the O&M performed in 2020. Per the controller, there were insufficient funds in the budget for this. They would have to be included as part of a transfer in the December budget revisions to cover the cost. And that is what I have for this one. There's a little more detail on what our requirements are in the following page, but that's why we have a $25,000 bill to pay the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation to maintain our retrofit projects.
All right, Rich, if you don't mind, could you go through the second page?
Okay. So the town's operation and maintenance status is as follows. The 10-year phosphorus reduction goal for the entire East of Hudson is 919 kilograms. The town's portion for 10 years is 144 kilograms, or about 16% of the total goal. There have been 13 stormwater retrofits installed in town with a total phosphorus reduction of about 44 kilograms, about 30% of the town's overall goal. We passed the 2016 resolution, and the SRP inspections are performed semi-annually by the engineering department with label cost applied back to the East of Hudson, and the O&M is performed by the East of Hudson through Putnam County.
Okay, all right. This is something that unfortunately, we don't have a choice whether or not we have to follow through with these inspections and comply with the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation regulations for phosphorus reduction. This is this was born years ago through a federal act, the Federal Clean Water Act, and it was transferred to New York State, and New York State required all towns and villages to have a phosphorus reduction plan. So under the bubble compliance, we are part of that with the 19 other towns and villages in the Westchester Putnam area. So this amount, although it's a lot of money, it's something we're required to do with respect to the inspections of the retrofits that have been installed in the town of Carmel. So this is required, and we do budget for this. So we have to pay this. We have no choice. We have to remain part of the compliance for the East of Hudson. So, no option, ladies and gentlemen. We need to do this, and we have to pay this amount. So, is there any questions down this side, Bob, no. Susie?
Rich, I don't expect you to, and I don't want you to answer this question. Don't answer it.
Understood.
Don't you think it's not fair that we're paying for retrofits for the stormwater retrofit projects that are above and beyond what those are for the town of Carmel? Don't answer. Don't answer. That's a subtle point I'm making as a question.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, Frankie, we're required to.
I understand.
You do?
I
Okay.
get it.
Okay.
I get it. but it's another unfunded mandate
That's what
that
it
is
is.
required
Yeah.
for the town residents. I screamed about it back then, and I'll do so continually.
Each time this comes up, okay. All right, anybody else? Okay. All right, so Rich, you'll work with Mary Ann and coming up with a number as far as, and where in the budget that this is going to be funded out of, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mary Ann's already aware of it, so I think she already did the budget transfer
You
at the
did?
last meeting, not this, no, she didn't offer it tonight, she offered it at the last meeting.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. Okay, moving on, number 9, consider request to award bid for the design and construction and administration of the new water treatment plant for Carmel Water District Number 2. Rich?
Pursuant to the resolution of August 12, 2020, the engineering department circulated RFPs for the reference project, which is new water treatment plant in Carmel Water District 2. We circulated to 12 consulting engineering firms on November 16, 2020. Formal RFPs were received by the engineering office on January 15, 2021. One firm, Hazen & Sawyer, also called Hazen, submitted a proposal. The board may remember the Hazen is a consulting firm which was awarded the contract for Carmel Water District 2's water treatment facility upgrade engineering report, which was completed in July of 2020. The board should note that for the facility upgrade, the same 12 consulting firms were solicited, and only 2 firms at that time, Hazen and Arcadis of New York, submitted proposals. Both firms at that time were qualified for the development of a facility plan report. In this instance, Hazen and Arcadis have teamed together as part of the submission for the reference project. Hazen also has selected various consultants, including Schnabel Engineering, JRFA, Bidwell Environmental, and Larry Lynn Surveyors. Just so you know, the RFP identified 8 different tasks: site understanding and analysis, 30% design submittal, permitting, final design, bid assistance, construction administration, training, O&M startup, and additional design services. The total cost of the proposal was $2,893,000. Per the town controller, the board authorized $2.65 million on August 28, 2020. An additional funding of about $500K will be required to cover this design. A copy of the resolution was attached. Based on our evaluation of the cost and proposed scope, we recommend the contract be awarded to Hazen as the most responsive firm to the town's needs for this project. I want the board to note that representatives from Hazen are here and from Arcadis are also here, if they had any questions that they wanted to ask. They're here in the audience.
Okay.
Or any additional questions. So.
Okay. All right. So as everybody's aware, especially the folks that live up in the hamlet of Carmel, we're undergoing a major upgrade and improvements to the water services up in the hamlet. The water distribution system is being relined. The water storage tanks are being refurbished. And in one case, a new tank is being installed. So what we're talking about tonight is the construction and administration for a new water treatment plant that is also needed up in the hamlet of Carmel area. The cost for all these projects is very staggering. It's north of $35 million. It could be in excess of that by the time we're done. But these are necessary in order for the residents in the hamlet of Carmel to have clean water coming out of their taps. The water system up in the hamlet is an old, aging system, and this water treatment plant is 42 years old, I believe. So this has been in service for over 4 decades, and it's a diatomaceous earth system, which is a very old type of water treatment system. The plant will be upgraded to a microfiltration and UV light system. So the new plant will be state-of-the-art.
Dissolved air flotation.
Dissolved air flotation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's why you're the engineer and I'm not. But thank you, Rich. So the project moving forward requires the professional engineering services and design for the construction administration of that new plant. So this is one component or one phase of what we need to do to get to the actual bid, going out to bid for the construction of the new plant. This is something that is part of the whole process, and it is $2.8 million, and the board authorized $2.6 million back in August of 2020. So we do have to authorize an additional $500,000 if the board is inclined to award this to Hazen and Sawyer for the work to be completed as part of the engineering services for the design and construction. They're here tonight, Rich?
They're here if there's any
Gentlemen,
questions that I'm not able to address.
How are
so.
you? Okay. The only thing and I know this is a big project, and it's very involved, it's very technical, very detailed. There's a lot that goes into building a new water treatment plant, and you gentlemen, you know, you're the experts, it's your firm. My only concern is the cost that we're talking about with this, and I actually was of the belief that the number for this was going to come in lower than the 2.8 million. I would ask respectfully is if you and the engineer and whoever else is going to be participating in these discussions, I would like for you to go back and sharpen your pencils to see if you could do a better job in the pricing for this. Just, look, again, I'm not an engineer and I'm not part of your firm, but I was of the belief, and I think there's other board members here that are sitting up here with me, that we were of the belief that the number was going to come in less than that. So if there's anything that you can do with respect to adjusting the pricing for your project, for what you bid it on, I'd certainly appreciate that. And I know the residents of the hamlet of Carmel who are paying this bill would appreciate that as well. So I'm not sure if that's something that you're willing to do. If you are, please come up and speak to that.
Yes. Yes, we would welcome an opportunity to sit with the town and the engineer and anybody else from the town, review our numbers, how we came up with it. And we, in fact, did offer, identify a couple of areas where we thought we could reduce our price. It's in our proposal, so we certainly would be willing to talk to you about that. So, okay. And it's, you know, we're complete open book. You know, we can show you exactly how we come up with the numbers. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Sure.
I know the board would too. If you could take some time to do that, how much time do you think you would need in order to come back to the board with a revised number? If that's what's going to happen, if you're able to do that, how much time do you need?
So if they come back, this is just for my edification. So right now, this is on an agenda, a work session. Voting is next week. If they get the number by Tuesday, a new number that's a better number, would the board be able to move on it? And or we wait till the next voting meeting. It's you know, another couple of weeks or months here is not going to make a difference, though the firms do want to move forward with it, and we do want to start getting this design going, as we all know the other aspects to this project. So. And
it's not my intention to delay this project any further. So if you need, can you accomplish that within a week?
I certainly think so. Actually, I'm going to be up in Carmel here on Friday. If we want to sit, I'm sure we can get the gross majority of it covered in Friday.
So why don't you do that, and Rich, get back to the board?
No problem.
All right, on what the end result was and where you arrived at, that'd be great.
Sure.
And then the board can move further with discussions with respect to this. I don't know, does the board have anything tonight that they want to?
No, I just wanted to, you had mentioned that in your proposal that there were some opportunities outlined.
Yes.
For cost cutting. So if you can possibly, and I don't, if it takes longer than a week, it's okay, because we're talking about a substantial amount of money here. Mm-hmm. But if you can correspond the list of the potential cuts that you could make versus the actual what you can do. In other words, you had said you, right, against that list.
Right, sure.
All right?
Yep.
I mean, if, again, Kenny, if it takes another week or so, if we can save another, you know, really, I mean, you know, 100,000. No, I understand. But we could always, you know, if we can add it if we need to on the 7th.
We can.
As a special voting meeting.
Yes.
To do it then if need be.
But
I would rather not, rush it if they can, you know, I don't want him to say, oh, I must get this done by Friday and overlook something. Right. You know, go through that list that you have and see where it can be sharpened as best as you can. If it takes you 2 weeks to do so, then, you know, let's do it that way.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds fair.
I don't mean to beat you up on the price here tonight, but.
Oh, I know. It's a big number.
It's a substantial number, and, you know, if we could do better, if you could do better, that'd be great for everybody. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we certainly have some ideas.
Okay.
We'd be willing to sit and talk to you, so.
All right.
Yeah, if you could provide us in an email format to Rich, and then Rich can send it to us what those changes were and are,
And
Because
if the board is comfortable with that on the 7th, if we have that by April 7th, and you're comfortable adding it to that voting meeting, and, then we could include it in a resolution for that night, on the 7th.
as long as we have an opportunity to review it
Right.
before the 7th,
Right.
yeah, I would have no
Rich, make
problem.
sure you get as much detail to the board with respect to this as you can, so they can,
But you know me, I don't put any detail in any of my emails.
My hope and plan is that we don't need an additional resolution to authorize additional funds.
right,
No pressure.
all right. Thanks so
Okay,
much,
thank you.
appreciate it, yep,
Have a good
thanks a
night.
lot, okay. Any further questions?
Oh, the 7th is a voting meeting, Kenny, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
It is a voting.
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah,
That's
so we
why I
can add
said,
it on.
We can add it to the 7th if the board is comfortable with voting. on it
Right,
on the
right,
7th.
right.
But I think if we get enough information from Rich,
Yeah.
based on his conversations with the firm, then we can act on it. If all your questions are answered,
Yeah.
then we can move forward with it. Okay? All right. Thanks, Rich. So let's move on, Rich, to number 10. This is Rich Franzetti, P.E., Town Engineer John Fulchetti, P.E., J.R. Fulchetti and Associates Incorporated. Consider request to award bid for C-265 Carmel Water District Number 2 Water Main Lining Phase 1.
So as the board is aware, the engineering department solicited proposals from qualified engineers to prepare bid documents and specifications and construction admin for the water distribution system upgrades in Carmel 2. The board authorized JRFA to prepare said plans and specifications necessary to go out to bid for this work. As the board may recall, these upgrades include relining of about 10 miles of pipe, installation of valves, installation of new mains. Following should be noted, the relining project requires temporary water to be placed in service. It has been broken down into 2 phases. Contract Phase 1, which is the one we're going to be discussing, includes relining Fair Street, St. Michael's Terrace, Everett Road, Kelly Ridge Road areas. Phase 2 includes relining Sunset Ridge, Collier, East and West, Fowler, Sunnycrest, and Lindy Drive areas. On Tuesday, February 16th, at 11 a.m., bids were opened by the town clerk. The bid summary as prepared by JRFA is provided as attached. Michael's Pipe Service was the lowest bidder at $3,152 million. The engineering estimate for this work was between $2.975 million and $3.57 million, which is for the 23,800 feet of pipe bid on this project. The low base bid of $3.4 million was within 2% of the low estimate, and the board should note that the debt for this project in the amount of $13.3 million was authorized for this project in 2019. Based on the evaluation of bid amounts, experience of the bidder, and project references, we recommend the contract be awarded to Michael Pipe Services as the lowest responsible bidder for this project.
Okay. 23,800 feet of pipe.
That's Phase 1, yes.
Phase 1. Yeah. Okay. All right, so board, did you have an opportunity to review item
Rich.
number 10 for tonight? If you have any questions or comments for the engineer?
Rich, the evaluations that were performed, those are performed by your office or by John? John did them?
John's
Okay.
office, yeah, that's what he was hired for.
Very good handwriting, John.
No, I had one of my young.
Oh, never mind. Okay, no, I mean, I've never heard of them before. Have we ever worked with them
We
before,
have
Rich?
not done a project of this before, but they are one of the top firms, top contractors that do this type of work.
No, just by the recommendations that were provided, it does seem,
John, the number 2 bidder was also highly recommended too, right?
Both of them. So Michaels is a nationwide heavy highway pipeline construction firm.
okay.
They're headquartered in Wisconsin. The branch that's doing this job is over near Waterbury, Connecticut. They were formerly Heitkamp, and Michaels bought them out in 2016. Heitkamp did the lining job over in Nelsonville and Cold Spring back around 2015, 2016. They also did some work down in Westchester, in Ossining, I think Croton. So they are the local arm, having been bought out about 5 years ago of a nationwide powerhouse. And the recommendations that came on that particular organization are absolutely glowing, and are by people that we know, that guys that work for my firm decades ago who are now the town and village engineers down in Westchester County. So I don't have any question that they can do the job.
Yeah, a couple of reference names we actually recognize.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure we do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, to have, you know, 9s and 10s and mostly 10s, not just one. How many here? 12, 15?
No, for Michael's, I think I got 6 or 7. They submitted several hundred, you know, but not everybody's returning phone calls when they're working out of their house.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And you finished, Rick?
I mean, you know, we have to go by the references that were provided, and, you know, we have our consultants take care of that for us. And John, John knows of them. They've worked here in Putnam County and Westchester, right, John?
That's correct.
And those references from those municipalities came back.
9s and 10s. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
So they're a proven commodity. They're a known commodity.
Well, and,
So-
you know, the fact that they were on the lower end of the estimate that we had or was presented to us, you know, is a good thing as well.
Right. Yeah. And you all, the board knows and is aware of the issues that we're having up in the hamlet of Carmel with water quality. And these streets, these roads that are identified here in Phase 1, Fair Street, St. Michael's Terrace, Everett Road, Kelly Ridge Road, they're impacted by the issues with the mains. So this is going to correct, this will correct the quality of the water coming out of the taps at their homes. And this work needs to be done, so this was identified by John's firm as to needing relining. So that we need to move forward with this. This is something, it's another expense for the residents in the hamlet of Carmel, but they also expect to have clean water coming out of their taps as well. So, John, the relining of these pipes in Phase 1 area that this identifies will succeed in clean water coming out of their taps.
Will improve
Once
the quality of the water coming out of their taps,
And
absolutely.
increased pressure, I think that was a question.
You'll
And
have
pressure.
better flow characteristics, better fire flow, increased pressure.
Right. Yeah. So this is something else that needs to be done, you know, along with the water treatment plant. We need a new plant. We need the lining of the mains to get done, along with the water tanks. So it's a big project, costly, but it needs to get done. It's an old system.
Yep.
Any questions, Frank, further?
No,
Mike,
that's
you have
it.
anything? All right, Bob? Susie?
No.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Okay. Okay, let's go to number 2, Bob.
All right.
You're on. This is, we're receiving some grant funding from New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for the purchase and installation of 4 charging stations for municipal zero emissions vehicles, ZEV, and the town of Carmel. It's for $52,272. So these are charging stations that are going to be stationed around the town of Carmel for people that charge their electric vehicles. So you want to pick up on this, Bob, and explain how we got here and how the funding is going to occur?
Yeah, we've obtained a grant writing company, Millennial Strategies, last year. There wasn't many grant opportunities due to COVID. A lot of the funds were closed down from the federal, state, governments. But one what did come in mind was grant for greener emissions, greener environmental impact grant. So I looked into it. I spoke to David Jenkins, and in lieu of our master plan that we're going to put together, I think we should start thinking a little bit towards a greener environment, worrying about the climate and so on and so forth. I thought this would be a great opportunity to get ourselves some charging stations for electric vehicles. You see more of them on the streets. Hopefully down the road we'll be able to purchase some of ourselves. And we were able to get 4 locations. The funds were given to us. It was a total of $52,272. There's 4 stations which will charge 2 cars each. Right now we had them slated for Town Hall, parking lot, the new park in downtown Mayapack, and also Vink Drive, that area, and Seminary Hill Road in the hamlet. I spoke to our highway superintendent quick, so we'll have to figure out exactly where we're going to put them. We have leeway, exactly, we can move them around a little bit. I guess the most preferable place would be in a town parking lot, The only problem is we don't really have many town parking lots in the hamlet, as opposed to here. And then I'm not sure what other type of engineering work will have to be performed, and any type of highway, guidelines we'll have to follow. But I think it's just right, step in the right direction, and I'm glad that we got the award, and I'm glad that the community is going to be able to benefit, from this.
Yeah, thank you for your work on this grant, Bob.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it, and electric cars are the future. You're seeing more and more of them now, and I think GM and Ford are going to transition over to all electric vehicles by 2035. So you're going to see these charging stations, more and more of them, available to the public. So it's good that we're getting ahead of this, and there's grant funding for it. You do need three-phase, though, so wherever they're going to install these, the electric service, they're going to have access to three-phase service for those charging stations, because most of them are rapid charge service, and they require more voltage to operate them. So. And
once they're operated, I guess it'll be at our discretion. Usually the first year is free of charge, and then it's our decision if we want to charge afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think 2 charging stations down at the park, down where the municipal parking lot will be, is a good idea to have it down there. And it does have access to three-phase as well here at the town hall. The only location is going to be up in the hamlet of Carmel. We're going to have to identify a location where we could place that one. So I know there's some ideas, and we've looked around a little bit, but, there'll come a point in time where we're going to have to look at the engineering for those and determine from an engineering perspective where they would be more suitable as far as access to the third phase.
Right.
So, all right. Thanks, Bob, for moving this along.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So any questions or comments from the board on the charging stations? No?
No, I think it's great.
I think it's great, yeah.
Yep.
It's the future, so, we may as well start
I
installing them
mean,
now.
I know we don't own Putnam Plaza, but maybe Putnam Plaza,
They have 2 there already, Sue.
do they?
There are 2 at Putnam Plaza on the east side of the plaza,
the
over
east
by,
side.
over by Tops.
By Tops.
Yeah, they're in the
yeah.
corner by Tops.
Yeah, so maybe one on the other. I don't
Yeah.
know. You guys can talk about it.
It's a thought,
Yeah.
it's a thought, or over, up by Stop and Shop somewhere up that way.
Or by Stop and Shop.
So, but we'll talk about it when we
Yeah.
determine, when we move further with it.
Yeah,
so.
good.
All right, thanks, Bob. Thanks for your work.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes the agenda items for this evening's town board meeting. Is there any members of the public that would like to come up and comment on agenda items only at this time that we covered tonight? Come on up. Okay, is there anybody here for the open business, open forum, new business portion of the meeting where you can address the board for any town-related matters? Come on up at this time. Okay, there being none, town board members have any announcements, comments?
I have a couple of announcements. First, I mentioned last week, we're doing our food drive March 20th, benefiting the St. John's Food Pantry. The food pantry at St. John benefits the entirety of Putnam County. Here's the flyer. Non-perishable items, pasta, et cetera, et cetera. I know that some business owners have contacted me already. They have supplies and donations already lined up for us. Some others want to make a cash donation, but they will be taken there at the church by the food pantry personnel and Barbara Eats, so we don't have to worry about that. So again, it's that day. If anybody has needs any information, they can contact Marianne Chaluzian or myself, either on Facebook or through the town. So I think it's going to be a great event. We haven't done it in about 9-10 months, and there's a need for it. All right. And the other thing is that I wanted to wish one of my and Bob's fellow Knights Columbus brothers and somebody who's done a lot of work in the town at our events, Kenny, Mike O'Brien, a very, very happy birthday today. I don't know, what is he, 103, 105, something like that. But anyway, happy birthday, Mike. That's it.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, Frank. And just one announcement for tonight, the town-wide cleanup this year is going to be April 19th through April 30th. We're going to run it for 2 weeks because we didn't do it last year. We canceled it due to COVID. But with the snow melting now, the shoulders of the roads, clearly there's quite a bit of litter that is on the shoulders of our roads around town. And I'm going to ask the residents to join with us on the week of Earth Day to clean up some of the litter along the roads. Generally, what people do is, where they live, they will take care of those streets by their homes. But Route 6, along Route 6 and Croton Falls Road, there's a lot of litter that I've noticed along the roads in those locations and town-wide, pretty much. So we supply the orange garbage bags, and we have some vests. We don't have a lot of orange vests, but we do have vests that people can use, but you have to return them. And also the litter picker-uppers, the grabbers. We have we have about a dozen of those here that you can borrow if you're going to be going out during the week. So townwide cleanup for roadside litter, April 19th through April 30th this year. It's going to run for 2 weeks, and let's all pitch in and try to clean up the town of the eyesore that is the litter along the roadways. And while we're at it, keep the litter in your cars, ladies and gentlemen. Do not throw it out along the roadway. It's illegal, and you could be issued a summons for littering. But let's try to keep our earth clean. Let's try to keep our community clean and free of litter. Find a proper garbage receptacle to dispose of it at, and it's certainly not the sides of the roads. So we're going to look for everybody to help out and join in and clean the town up for those 2 weeks. All right, and we'll have the orange garbage bags will be available here at Town Hall. Mike, do you have some up at the garage, the highway garage? There's some available up at the highway garage as well. The large contractors' trash garbage bags that are orange. You fill them up, tie a knot in the top of it, leave it on the shoulder of the road, and the highway department will go around picking those up as well. They need a location. Yeah, they need a location where they put them. Call the highway department and let the highway department know where the bags are, and they'll send somebody out to pick them up.
Hi.
Hello, hi.
Erin from Mayapack. So Kent had did a similar project, and they had the National Honor Society kids who needed, hours and time community service doing this. They had them doing it weekly, so that it was constantly being done. They also had the recycling center, but they also used probation as another thing. I understand they have to be supervised, but Judge Duchkoff used to send them to the recycling center. Is this something that we've ever considered? Because not everybody wants to be involved all the time in garbage cleanup. It's not the most, stunning thing to be doing, but I mean, these kids need those hours for school, and also it gives back to our community. And it teaches them, how to preserve, and if they want to be residents, it makes them respect the environment a little bit more. Is that something that we've ever reached out to the local high
I had
schools?
reached out to them last year with the Carmel High School. They were going to do a project at Camarda Park. And then COVID came in. And
They
that
do
kind
a
of
lot for
stopped
my non-for-profit, so, they need a certain amount of hours, and it's a very easy, you call the guidance counselors, get them in, they're trustworthy. Like I said, too, people who need to do community service for probation, I know they need to be watched over, but, you can make it work, and it doesn't cost anybody money, it's something you can keep going year-round. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, we've reached out to the schools, and any of the school-age children that need hours for community service.
The Scouts as well.
Yeah.
Scouts are
And the
involved.
Scouts. Right, yeah. Okay, all right, great, thanks for that, appreciate it. Okay, anybody else? No?
No.
Okay, all right, so we're meeting next week, the 17th is going to be a dual meeting. It's going to be a voting meeting and a work session. And then after the 17th, we don't meet again until April 7th for a voting meeting.
Okay.
So we're going to be covering a lot next week. There's going to be there's going to be agenda items that we're going to be acting on for the voting meeting, but we also have the work session items. Mike will be here on the 17th as well. So it's 2 meetings, and again, we don't meet again because the planning board uses this room for their meetings, so that's why we're not meeting on the following week, the 24th. All right? Okay, so I need a motion. We're not going into executive session. I just need a motion to adjourn the meeting tonight. So moved by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilman Shannell. All those in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone. Be well, stay safe. We'll see you next week.